Oh, you're getting side-eye from Dante here. I didn't even call him. He came in by himself this morning. And I'm a little early, but I'm early because it was, do I wash my hair first or do this first? And I was like, I think I'm going to go do this first, because if I wash my hair first, then I'll be really late doing this. So here I am. But, all right, so we're going to do, we have gotten started on Hidden Power of the Bible. And I did not realize that it was considered a lost work. When it was originally put out in the 1940s, or it was published in 1928, it came out as the Bible in Light of Religious Science, and then I guess went nowhere for a little while, and then or kind of disappeared in the 40s, and then Penguin got a hold of it and republished it in oh wow, my print is tiny. Let's see if I can figure out when it was reprinted. Oh, 2006. So yeah, it was apparently kind of missing for a little while, and they published it in 2006. And the interesting thing is Jesse wrote the foreword to this, so that's very interesting. And I'm clearly not awake yet this morning. So, but they also changed the name of it. It's now called The Hidden Power of the Bible. Yeah, I found that out when I looked it up online so that I could put the description on the YouTube page, and it's like this hidden gem, and I went, what? Or this lost gem? Yeah, and I was like, okay, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? I don't know if you can hear him. He's talking about something, but it's one of the things that I love about him is that he talks. The house got really quiet after Gabby and Foster left, because Gabby and Foster used to talk a fair amount. And so I decided I needed some more noise in my house, and I got two Siamese variations. And they talk. Are you finished? And they talk a fair amount, and they've got sweet voices, so I enjoy it. All right, let's do the housekeeping, because I'm just rambling right now. And all the housekeeping is me reminding you that we are Creative Life Studio Center. Website is creativelife.org. Constant contact email is info@creativelife.org. The website, I'm sorry, you get one email a week, tells you what's going on for the week and the month, and the hot links are hot. So click here now means it. It will. It tells you what's going on for the week and the month. It's a blind CC, so nobody will see your email. And when I say one a week, I mean it, unless something unusual happens, which we do live on the Gulf Coast, and it's hurricane season. So here we are. Now, I should mention the social media, but I'm only going to mention them from the standpoint of we do not monetize them. We don't want to deal with the ads any more than you do. So what we ask you to do instead, go like, subscribe, follow, based on which platform you're on, and then engage with the individual post by reacting, commenting, sharing. It bumps us in the algorithms. More people see our stuff. So a free and easy way you can support Center by getting us in front of more people. So, okay, now I was telling you about Hidden Power of the Bible. It's one of the books that Jesse uses when he teaches Bible wisdom. It is a phenomenal class. It's a really good class. And so this, it's not set up into chapters, so I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I'm just going to do a couple of little sections at a time. Now, as I said yesterday, the first section is called what it's called, and I refuse to call it that, because if I did, Reverend Norm would rise out of wherever he is right now and beat me about the head and shoulders. So, it's only a very brief section, readings from the Hebrew Testament. It's not a lot, because what Ernest is doing is working on the stories that he thinks have something to say to us today. So he is definitely picking and choosing. And it's a library. You're allowed to do that. So we are going to do... So yesterday, I read you 2 sections out of Genesis. So one from Genesis 1 and one from Genesis 2 about how, in the beginning. And so literally that is what we are going to do today is in the beginning. And then probably as the earth was without form and maybe, most likely, and the Spirit of God moved. So we're going to do 3 little chapters today talking about those stories from Genesis. So, in the beginning, the account of creation, which says that in the beginning, God created heaven and the earth, does not refer to a time when there was no creation, but rather a process of eternal creation, which is a continual manifestation of spirit. Okay. An eternal creation is proven by the fact that we must suppose spirit to be conscious intelligence, and there can be no conscious intelligence unless it is conscious of something. Spirit is consciousness, hence it must be conscious of something, therefore it must always create. Okay. What a glorious concept is the idea of an eternal creative principle. There is no stagnation in spirit, nor should there be any in our idea of spirituality. To be spiritual is to create. The spirit is alive, conscious, aware, and active always. But how does the spirit create, and from what does it? Through its creative genius, mold definite forms. These questions are pertinent to our philosophy. Okay. If we suppose spirit to be the life principle running through all things, the cause of all, then we must suppose that it has substance within itself. It is self-existent consciousness and also self-existent substance. Spirit makes things out of itself through some inner act upon itself. The inner act must, of course, be an act of consciousness, of self-perception, of self-knowingness. What God knows is. And he said those questions are relevant to our philosophy because that's what we say. Everything's made of God's stuff. That's relevant to our philosophy. Because if everything is made of God's stuff, then it's all one. So, all right. Now, here is, and the earth was without form. And the earth was without form and void, and the darkness was upon the face of the deep. Prior to creation, the creative substance existed merely as a divine possibility, a universal stuff, latent with energy and law, ready to receive the creative word that shall cause it to spring into definite forms. That which is visible comes from that which is invisible. Jesse uses that phrase a lot. This universal, invisible essence, not exactly nothing, yet of itself no thing, is susceptible to impressions, ready to take form, and the creative word of the Spirit causes the form to appear through the law of the Spirit, which is an immutable part of its own nature. Let us proceed with the account of creation, having this idea in mind. Okay, so here's where he's setting his ground of how he's going to treat the rest of creation. There is, in the universe, a conscious intelligence, which we call spirit, a reactive law responding to this conscious intelligence, and a substance ready to take form through the word of the Spirit. This is the thing, the way it works, and what it does. Without such a reality, there could be no creation. All right. And the Spirit of God moved. That's the title of the next section. And then I'm going to repeat it because it's the first line. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. The Spirit of God means the conscious or self-knowing mind of God, the active principle of conscious selection and self-assertion moving upon the passive principle of creative law. And see, that's one of the things that you have to remember, is that Spirit is conscious, the law is not. The law is passive. The law does what the mind decrees. So the law does not judge. And that is central to science of mind. The law does not judge. So when you activate that creative principle and activate the law is going to give you what you ask for. The law is never going to ask you if this is really what you want. The law is never going to say, I don't think this is a good idea. The law is going to hand you what you've asked for. Which is why frequently we get what we don't want. Because where our mind goes is where our power goes. That is what Emma spent all day in that almost 2 hours of chapter 6 talking about. Where your mind goes is where your power goes. What you think about, you bring about. And the law does not judge. And that is what Ernest is saying. So Emma says, what you think about, you bring about. And Ernest is saying, the law doesn't judge. Okay? Okay. Let me go back to that. So the active principle of conscious selection and the self-assertion moving upon the passive principle of the creative law, which is called the waters. See the nature of being in science of mind in the text. The waters, as used in the Bible, sometimes means the law, which reacts to Spirit, and at other times refers directly to Spirit itself. Hence why religion can be a little confusing. So that's one of the things where Reverend Norm says when you're reading the Bible, never take a one line out of context. Always read a few lines before and a few lines after. Put the line in context. It will most likely change the meaning. Because we've got a lot of, you'll see John 3:16, which I see everywhere. Can I tell you what it is? No, but Reverend Arthur could. So a lot of times when people take a single line out, they take it out of context. And it doesn't necessarily mean what the author of that line meant because they have taken it out of context and put their own meaning on it. Okay? So always, as he says here, sometimes it's referring to, waters is referring to the law, and sometimes it's referring to the Spirit. Read it in context. Read a few lines before, read a few lines after. Therefore, you can figure out which way they're using it. Okay? Very important when you are dealing with the Bible. You can't take things out of context. It will, because frequently, if you go back and read the line, it will mean something completely different. Okay. Next, in the account of creation, we have the creative word used to bring forth a definite manifestation. To bring forth a definite manifestation of itself in concrete form. God is contemplating itself as creation. Okay? And we talk about that a lot. You are God having an experience of itself right now. That is what we are doing here. And that's the good news. This shows that the Spirit has the power of selection and choice. It can create what it chooses. But of course, it could not choose to create anything that would contradict its own nature. This is the only limitation of Spirit. It cannot do anything that contradicts its nature. This is not a real limitation. It is the necessity of perfection remaining perfect. So, Let's see. Yeah, let's go ahead and do a definite creation. And God said, let the earth bring forth grass, etc., whose seed in itself after its kind. The interesting idea in this passage is the self-preparation of God's thought and the individual definiteness of of God's concepts. Each creation brings forth after its kind. Back of each manifestation is a definite idea having the power to perpetuate itself. Humanity evolves from the idea of humanity. A monkey evolves from the idea of a monkey. The ideas of spirit are never confused. The individual manifestations of God are always definite and concrete. We are next told that God caused manifestations of life to appear in the earth, air, water, showing the divine mind to be omnipresent in its threefold nature of intelligence: substance, law, and action. Okay, Ernest might be reaching here, but he's making his point. Energy, life, and intelligence fill all time and space with the representations of spirit. From the atom to the planet and in the mineral, vegetable, and animal kingdoms, we see vast and endless creations. God's lines have gone out in every direction, and God's presence encompasses all. And wherever God's presence is, there must be manifestation. Everything is replete with life. And God blessed them. And God saw that it was good. It is impossible for the divine mind to see other than good or to do other than bless. The curse is self-imposed through ignorance of the true law of liberty. And I say that, the divine knows you to be good because it's all the divine knows. That where he's talking about God can't contradict God's nature. God's nature is to create. God's nature is to bless. God's nature is to be good, and it cannot contradict that. So what we see as evil is the illusion of separation. It is the ignorance of who we are, what we are, where we came from, what we are made from. So I'm not saying evil isn't real. I'm just saying evil is not a power in and of itself. I've said that for years. Because when I learned that, I went, yep, because the fastest way to stop evil is to have the people doing it to recognize who they are. So, yeah, okay. So that means that tomorrow we will pick up with the image of God. Now I just have to figure out how I'm going to do these, because we just did 4 little things and the title's not long enough to do that. So here, if you go back and read the Science of Mind text, you can start to see in this book where Ernest is making his argument for what he says in the text about what he believes about spirit, what he believes about creation, what he believes about what we're here to do. He launched the Bible. And I am grateful that I never disliked it, that I had an appreciation for the Bible, because I didn't have to unlearn anything. And this book is just adding to what I already know. So I'm going to encourage you now to have a great day, wondrous day, fantastic day, a magical day, an enchanted day, a wonderful day, an awesome day, an amazing day, a take care of business day, a take care of yourself day, a let's get prepped for this next week day, a go be with your community day, a cuddle your fur babies day, a drink plenty of water day, a beware of the heat because, the air conditioner is already running this morning. day. Be aware of the Sahara dust day. The good thing is that does tend to keep the rather erratic weather to a minimum. But the bad thing is breathing. Yay. So be aware of that day. Be aware of your breathing day. Take a deep breath day. I already said go be with your community day. You got this day. A good day. And if that is too much pressure, simply have a day. You are enough just as you are. You're a beloved expression of the divine. You are a brilliant light, divine spark, spirit in motion, God in action, an absolutely beautiful masterpiece, and a work in progress at the same time, at your own pace. And, as Reverend Jesse likes to call it, you are godly. Explore the truth of your being. Get to know who the divine knows you to be, because the divine knows you to be good. It is all the divine knows. That is the lesson that we learned today. It is all the divine knows, because it is what the divine is. And the divine cannot contradict its nature. So, from there, anything is possible. Anything at all is possible. All right, beloveds, I'm going to move on to the process of my day. So, because it is Sunday, we will have an amazing service for you at 11 on Facebook Live, or if you're in the area, come in person. So if you're watching this and it's after 11, roll up one video. Okay? And then, if not, then if you're watching this on YouTube, hop over to the Creative Life YouTube channel and see what we were talking about today. Reverend David will be on sometime this afternoon. I'll be back with you in that 9:15 space. And I don't know what I was about to say. So I'm simply going to remind you that you are loved. So take care of yourself.